Hi, you're listening to She Shield Pod, your one-stop pod for all topics personal safety. I'm your host, Sofia, and my goal is to help educate women and men on concealed carry, martial arts, and all topics self-defense. This episode is brought to you by Big Tex Ordnance, your soon-to-be favorite retailer for all of your firearms needs. BTO believes in only selling high-quality gear for responsibly armed citizens, as well as providing pre- and post-sale support. BTO values firearms training and supports firearms instructors nationwide. They even pay for their own staff to train with high-level instructors to ensure that when you as a consumer reach out, you are taken care of. Today we have Guy Schnitzler on the podcast. I'm so happy you're here, Guy, and I would love for you to give your impressive rap sheet to the listeners, if you don't mind.
First of all, I want to say thank you for having me on the podcast. It's my pleasure. Look forward to our talk here today. Okay, resume. I am currently a federal air marshal. I'm assigned to the Dallas field office. I've been down in Dallas since 2002. Eligible retirement. I plan to go. I'm currently. I blew my back out last year teaching a crew member self-defense course, and I ended up having to have 2 back surgeries. One to clean the disc, and then I blew the disc again this year. So they took the disc out. I'm currently in recovery, but I'm the defensive tactics officer for our field office. And so I've been that. One thing I'm really proud of is that if anybody's familiar with ShivWorks, Craig Douglas, and the default cover position, we teach crew member self-defense. We teach at both the office and currently at all the new flight attendants at the American Training Center here in Dallas. And one thing I'm really proud of it made in my career is that we were able to get the default cover position into the curriculum of the crew member self-defense. So anybody teaching crew member self-defense we've got 21 field offices. If a flight attendant goes there or a crew member goes there and takes the class, they're going to get the default cover. So that was one thing I was really proud of instituting. Prior to coming over to FAMS, I was the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department for just under 10 years. I was a patrol officer, community resource officer there. Worked the not so nice areas of Charlotte, and did a lot of running and got into that 10 years. So me going over to FAMS was like, oh, this is a nice break. I'm climate controlled condition. I'm not having to direct traffic. August at 5 o'clock in a blue polyester wool uniform with 95 degrees temperature and humidity. So it was a nice change for me. Prior to that, I did 6 years in the Army National Guard Reserves in infantry because I had planned to get my commission, and I just sort of between the times and being in reserves, I decided I wanted to make another pursuit and went in law enforcement. So I did that. Went in law enforcement, got on with Charlotte. Well, when I was in college, I went to NC State. I did the Aikido Club because of Steven Seagal and all his movies all the time being the proper things. And it was a few years later, I realized, traditional martial arts aren't that great for fighting and streets, and pretty ignorant. And when I moved to Texas, I started in combat sports. Started with jiu-jitsu and been there. I boxed for 4 or 5 years, personally, not amateur, nothing like that, just for training. Like hitting people. Found out I really like hitting people. I probably hit back, and after a while, there's just so much you can take. So I spar and box little now. Most of my training is jiu-jitsu. So when I got on with Charlotte, I started training in Kashinaru Kempo Karate under Chris Couch, earned my black belt there, and I was an instructor and teacher for him there for 2 years before I moved to Texas. Got to Texas, got into boxing and Kung Fu Sansu Kung Fu under Ron Van Browning, and then Tim Gibbons, earned my black belt with them. And that's what boxing, part of their curriculum was boxing. And you had to do like 15 3-minute rounds pre-test. So to show you could test, to have the endurance and stamina test. After that, I was flying. I was lucky. I had a ground base, what we call a ground base assignment. I was assigned to our operations unit, and I was doing all the scheduling for people available to fly. And then every month I'd send up to the headquarters, and then they would populate the schedules for the guys who had missions, what we call missions, flying out. They could be out and backs, overnights, internationals, did a lot of that. It was 3 years in operation, came out. I flew from August of 09 to September of 19, logging 5.3 million miles on an airplane across the world. So it's like,
wow.
Oh, you want to go fly somewhere? No. I got 10 days off. We're driving. But while doing that, I got involved in the boxing and jiu-jitsu, continued up the jiu-jitsu, training up that. Started training heavily with Craig Douglas in 2006. Since 2006, I have approximately between 340 and 350 hours training with Craig. Craig hosted a summit in 2010 called the Mid-Atlantic Tactical Conference. I met Cecil Birch, the rest of the Shipworks Collective, Cecil Birch, Paul Sharp, Larry Lindeman, William April, and Chris Fry. I got to train with them. From there, I started training with hosting and training with Cecil, and I've been training with them. I hosted them in Dallas for 10 years, but every 10 except for 20 because of COVID. So the 10th anniversary, the 10th class in Dallas was the 21st. But I've been all over Dallas and Oklahoma and Arkansas. If Cecil was there, I'd just show up if I was available in AI for him. And so he greatly honored me in February of 21 when I hosted him here, authorized me, certified me to be able to teach his material, the immediate action combatives, jiu-jitsu material he teaches in his 3-day class. I'm allowed to add and take away from the program as I see fit. He trusts me with that. So that was a really big honor to be authorized to teach that. I've got about 100 hours of training with Paul Sharp, with both his MDOC 2.0, which is all combatives, grappling, weapons-based environment stuff that the Shipworks Collective teach as a whole. That's my passion, is that 0 to 5 foot range, extreme close quarters concept range. Because if I'm a bad guy and I want some from you, if I'm robbing you from across the street, I might, bye-bye. We'll see, who can run faster or disappear faster. But if I want something from you, I have to be right here. Literally, we have to be in that 0 to 5 foot. Whether it's I want you, I want to hurt you, I want to drag you away, I want your property. I cannot get it 75, 80 feet away. I have to be right here, 0 to 5 foot. And then when you also look at my work environment, sitting on a plane and having to fight people, it starts right there. You're not going to have space, but you're pretty much probably going to have to fight your way out of your chair before you even get to guns. And then make what we either take position of dominance, position of advantage, where we control the plane and control the fight. And of course, with all that, you have to remember our 4 gunfight rule. It's shooting rules, and because we have everything right there. I mean, maximum range we stress on shooting with our guys and gals, is 7 yards, preferably 5 yards and in, because it's just such a crowded environment. A lot of people don't know that Paul Sharp is a really, really good shooting teacher. He has what he calls advanced recoil mitigation. He will teach you, and you will learn how to keep that pistol flat shooting. It's just amazing. Also, I trained with William April, probably have about 80 hours with him over the years. Hosted him a couple times for the victimization class he offered. Plus, William was an excellent shooter and teacher on that. He would teach a speed shooting class. He'd shoot with Paul on Saturday about 1,200 rounds. He'd come back on Sunday all tired, burned out. And then that's the way William liked it. You're tired, you can't think, and you start performing. And by the end of the day, you're making shots. He would say, I want you to hold contempt for shooting someone in the eye, but not necessarily which eye be. You shoot them in the left eye, but it's not the eye. You're shooting them in the iris, in the pupil, at 3 yards, car length. He says, I want you to have that kind of advantage, contempt for that person, for that shot, this is an easy day. He wanted to get to the point where by the end of the day, we were making 3-yard eye shots, and it'd be on command, left, right. Fabulous. I'm heartbroken. He passed away 2 years ago. It was a double win because he passed August 6th, and then my father passed August 13th, and it's just like, okay, I hate 2020. Let's get out of here. It's time to go. Also, trained with Larry Lindeman. He had, when he was teaching. He did his point driven impact class. Point driven training was his website and blog, and then he did a small impact weapons class focused on SAPs and jacks. And we hosted him in 19, and we got his instructor certification for teaching SAPs and jacks, or small impact weapons. That's one of the classes I teach now. That's what I'll be teaching at the Combative Summit, is the use of SAPs and blackjacks, where they fall in what I call a non-LEO civilian context. Because I'm gonna ruffle some feathers here, but if you're in law enforcement, whether it's state, local, federal, you're a civilian. You're a civilian. We're not civilian, non-civilian. Non-civilian is military. Military, if you're in the uniform military, active duty, then you can call everybody else civilian. If you're in law enforcement uniform, plainclothes law enforcement, you're still a civilian. So I have the LEO civilian and non-LEO civilian, and I know I just ruffled a lot of feathers. But the bottom line, if you're in law enforcement, you don't work for the entity that hired you. You work for the people that pay taxes, and that's who you work for. You need to keep that in mind. So point driven, with seminars with Larry, probably 24 hours of training with Larry. And then with Chris Fry, also of his company MDTS, before he went over to Progressive Force Concepts and became the director of training. Probably about 8 hours, not much, because getting up with Chris is pretty hard. He's really, really busy. Let's see. I think I mentioned it. 4 black belts: Kempo, Sansu, Jiu-Jitsu, and then last September, I was nominated and promoted to black belt in the Combatives Association, Combatives University, under Matt Larson. So busy. I've trained with a who's who of the firearms community. I've got several hundred, if not thousands, of hours with Tom and Lynn Givens of Rangemaster. I've been all the way through all 4 of their, well, they've got more now, pistol craft instructor, but I've been through up through their master handgun certification for instructor and shotgun instructor certification. Several hundred hours of training with Wayne Dobbs and Daryl Bolkes of Hardwire Tactical Shooting. I've never sat down and added up all the hours of the people I've trained with, because I've got like blocks here, blocks there. I mean, I've shot with under Jedi, took his red dot pistol class. I've got credit for his instructor class, which I'm planning to take the end of this year, hopefully. Combative-wise, as far as the Combatives Association goes, I've trained with Cliff Barley, Ben Aubin, Redbeard Combatives. Cliff is Hill Country Combatives, and then John Valentine of Deeds of Arm. I'm trained with all of them. Like I said, the 0 to 5 foot range is my interest. Whether it's with a pistol, hand-to-hand, knife, small impact weapon, I like to teach it. Also, got instructor under Chuck Haggard of Agile Training Institute. I forget. Sorry, Chuck. Don't beat me. But his OC class. I've got his OC instructor class, so I can teach that too. So I am real big. Just hours of training. I mean, I just would have to sit down and figure it out. Plus, now that I teach under my own brand, DFW Defensive Training, and then co-owner with PTG Training, I'm training or I'm teaching. This last year has been frustrated with me due to the surgeries, because I'm like, I got to get back to training. That's my mental health release. That helps burn off my stress. Yeah. That keeps me centered. So I'm ready to get back to it. Also, I'm understand where my neurosurgeon's coming from. So it's like, okay, I can wait. I'll just breathe out. But I've been going and coaching at the gym. Get out there and I can direct, which is, for me, is hard because I'm a hands-on teacher, hands-on instructor. So it's kind of hard, and I can show you better than I can talk to you sometime. So that's where it's like, argh. But no, it's a good release getting out there, and I work with our youth, and I work with everybody else on the gym. So,
wonderful.
I think that's it. I'd be honest, that's a lot. So just, I love training. Like I said, I love teaching, as we were talking about earlier. My passion is teaching people, coaching people. And I'm not a teacher or instructor. I consider myself a coach because I'm personally invested in you. But I also want you to be able to break away from me at some point and leave. I'm not one. If we train today, I want you to walk out the door with something that you can use immediately. Whether it's, we do a small knife class or impact weapons. I want you to be able to walk out of there and have something you use that day, that time. So that's what I like about combatives, because it's chunked. It may be I may get you for 4 hours. I may get you for 8 hours. I may get 40. I may get more. I may get you regular basis, which is great. So we can really deep dive on stuff. But if you come to one of my classes, 1 day class, 2 day class, whatever, I want you to leave being able to use something that day. And I also want you to leave, if you coach with me and I coach you for a long term, I want you to be able to diagnose what you do. So if you're not with me, say with shooting, we go shooting, I teach you how to shoot. I also teach you how to diagnose what you're doing, because, as much as I love my students and want to stay there, I also realize they have lives. We move on. They might move on. They have different stages of life, but they stay training, and say they go to the range and they're shooting and they're like, oh, what am I doing wrong? So go back, start diagnosis. Oh, this is what Guy would tell me to do, and this is how I fix it. That's what I want. I want you to be able to leave me at some point and be able to coach yourself, and also coach people you care about. And, that's my goal. So
I love that. That's wonderful. And I think that's a great point to make. Like you want your student to be able to break away from you, the instructor. Right. I've never heard it put that way, but that's wonderful. Absolutely.
I want you as a peer. I don't want you as a student. Okay. Like Craig says, people who come train with him are his patrons. And I want that, but I also want you to be my peer in this community. And I call it a community versus industry, because it's more community. We're not producing anything physical, but I call it community because we're teaching. And to me, that's a better term, the training community versus training industry. That's my point on that part. People may agree or disagree, and we can discuss it all you want, but I still think that's what we are. And we're a small community. So, you have to be on your game, because there's a lot of people out there, that are training, that are excellent trainers, are doing what they're doing. And, like Kristen, she's excellent. She's got that material. She teaches in her 3.5 hour block with Healthy Buffalo, and it's a lot of material packed into 3 hours. And it's impressive how she gets it out there. Not everybody can do that. So.
Absolutely. She's worked so hard on that. I remember at ECQC, she was taking notes the entire time and just always in deep thought about how she wanted to apply it to her own program. So yes, that's lovely. And I'm thankful that she introduced us. That's awesome.
I am too.
Yes. I want to start saying community myself now. I might have to steal that from you.
Because it's free. Take it. I mean,
okay.
Please spread it. Let's get it to what we are. We are a community, because, like I said, we're not producing a physical item. Industry to me is automotive industry. When we say firearms industry, I think guns, not training with them. Right. So because you're producing a tangible product. Some people may argue we're teaching people how to shoot. That's a tangible product, but we're also building that person and making them building their character, making them better.
Yes, absolutely. So, it also makes me think that you as a instructor, and maybe even a social media presence, are there for the education and leading with education, and not necessarily like geared product branding. So I really like that as a way to kind of like shift the perspective and set the tone. So
right, exactly.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome. Another thing, if I'm coaching you, we got this thing here. 24/7. Call, text. I'm better with text, but hey, if you call, I'll get back to you. If you text me, I'll get probably immediately back to you, unless it's the middle of the night.
Yes.
But I'm your coach. I'm available to you. You have questions, you go somewhere, you get contradictory information, text me, call me, let's talk about it and see. I'm pretty open and honest. I try to give all the whys. I'm a big why guy. If we go somewhere and I'm training and I'm not getting the why, I'm going to ask at some point. And it's like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this way versus this way? And if I get a good answer and it's better than what I was doing, I'll switch. I'm a lifelong student. I'm a lifelong student. I'm a sometime coach. If I get to the point where I think I know it all, it's time for me to hang everything up and sit on the porch, because you don't know it all. That's why I'm always training with someone new. I want to train. Have you trained knife concepts, knife control concepts under Aaron Genetti?
Yes.
I want to train with him. I see what he has. I've trained, that's who I forgot. Jerry Witzel, Red Zone Threat Management. I've trained with him, I know, 5, 6, 7 times since 16. Got his level 1 knife instructor, hand-to-hand certification. He's got a great program on all that. I want to be able to compare what he does to what Aaron's doing, see what I can mix and still. I'll borrow from all the instructors I go train with. So it's, like you said, we're a small community. If we got 20,000 people that are training regularly, I think that's a really high number. It's probably even smaller than that, because I'll go to classes. I've been classes out northeast and on the East Coast or West Coast, and walk in, I'm like, I know you. Yes. So, new instructor, whatever, show up in a class, 10, 15 people, and I'll know 3 to 5 people because we've trained somewhere together somewhere. So,
yes.
So I'm pretty sure we're smaller than 20,000. So.
Yeah, it's almost like the firearms industry itself is pretty big, but the firearms training community is relatively small from what I've seen. And that's part of why I started this podcast, because it took me a while to even find out about Craig Douglas. It took me a while to even learn that the 0 to 5, it's yards, right? Or is it feet?
Feet, generally. With Craig, it's 0 to 5 feet. Once you start getting, you did ECQC, you seen them do the test, slap my hand. They start almost, a foot away. He drops literally one of his foot back, and then he's touching the guy 100%. He takes one shoe step back, and the guy's hitting 50. He's catching the hand 50. He takes another one. Now they're probably about, 2 yards. No, maybe 1.5, 2 yards away, and the guy is 90% stopping there. He gets 2 yards back, and it's like 100%. So that distance equals timing, and it allows us gives us more time to decide and act and get in something, so so that makes a lot of sense. So again, I can't get anything from you 75 yards away. If I have a rifle or I'm an exceptional pistol shot, I might be able to shoot you and put you down, walk over and take your stuff, but that's a totally different beast. That's an ambush. Absolutely. You walk around the corner and someone shoots in the head. I don't care how fast your draw is, because they don't either. Bad guys are going to work when it's best for them, when it's in their advantage. So, like Craig says, let's not get task-sophisticated with this or with, and it's hard. I got friends with young kids and trying to, and we work the muck a lot and get into the cars and how to do it. How do you walk through out the parking lot, the transitional area with the kids? Well, one hand. Well, why don't you take the one on your right hand, put them and chain them, youngest, oldest, work them. Hey, you say a certain word and the oldest gets the youngest, oldest holds the youngest, oldest gets the belt of mommy. And then they start arcing and whatever. And, mommy can talk to the oldest. Hey, anybody coming up behind us? That way, so that way we get them working the muck with the kids, and they're training the kids. Same thing. An idea I just sold from Mike Brown was you have kids, you have a 4-door car, open the car, if you have the baby seat in the center or the right side or the left side, get on the opposite side of the car, shut the door, lock the door, then put the baby in the seat. Get in them with them, lock them, and that cuts down, because if you're in that door, the door V there, the angle of that's a hard place to get out of. It's a fight from there. And if you got a kid and all that, your mind's not focusing on the bad guy. You're fighting, you're concerned about the child. So you're better off get in the car, lock the door, put the child in the seat, either get back out, lock the door, walk around, get in, or crawl over the seats. That way you cut down being so focused. Well, actually, it allows you to be focused on what you need to do is getting the child safely in seat, getting them secure. So there's, if you get in a collision when you leave the store, they don't get hurt. So that eases your mind because now you don't have to be up and looking around constantly and seeing if anybody's there.
Right.
So just stuff like that, work with people like that on that. So.
Absolutely. Yes. And I'm really hoping this podcast and even this episode will bring more attention to that idea because from what I can see, just scrolling through my For You page, at least, it's a lot of training at like the 10 feet, even like 15, 20 feet line and just kind of drawing and shooting in a totally perfect scenario, which I believe is still important to train. And I enjoy training and I do it with USPSA, but
nice.
As far as like the true, application to self-defense, I mean, this is so very important. And even when the other day I trained with a Bob and I put on like a really chunky sweatshirt, not to make it more, concealable, but to make it harder. And it was frustrating the amount of times I got my concealed carry weapon just stuck on my sweatshirt. Like it was so frustrating. And it was a big reminder of like, this needs to be more of like an everyday process for me. So I'm working on getting a little like punching bag in my office so that I can, like, when I show draws in my concealed carry outfits, because I do like a little outfit series. That's been one of like, the most popular things on my page. I can show more application because recently I've been getting like messages and DMs from people being like, this isn't applicable. You're just standing and shooting. I'm like, yes, you're totally right. Like, that's not the point of the video, but you're totally right. This is not, there's so much more to this. I agree with you. Like, I don't disagree at all. Of course, it's not always said super nicely. So sometimes
I totally understand that. I mean,
yes.
But you do, if have you trained with Tom and Lynn Givens of Rangemaster yet?
I have not. They are on my short list, though.
So I don't know if you know Tom. He gets after action reviews from his students. He has like, I may be off by a couple hundred. Over the years, he's had 68 or 70 students, and these are mostly non-LEO civilians get in shootings, come back and give an after action. Hey, this worked and this didn't. And so far the last, I think it was like 68 wins, 3 who have forfeited before whatever reason they didn't have their weapon that day. But no like right out losses for the guy and gal that was armed. But his stats is 72% occur at 7 yards and in. So yeah, you need to be working that 0 to 7 yards 75% of the time. Then you need to jump back 10, 15, 20, 25 yards, knowing you can make those shots. Because he does have one recorded from upstairs window across the street to a car, or the bad guy was at the car shooting at their house at like 23 yards. And the person made the 23-yard shot, and bad guy stopped his actions, and everybody was okay. But so yeah, you've got to train that. You got to train all that, but you also got to be remember what's the most applicable to our lifestyle, to where we're at. Really, again, if I'm going to be robbed, and I get, you don't even have to be tastic. Like I said, you can step around a corner and someone's there, and boom, it's on. And now you got to start using wrestling and jiu-jitsu and boxing and controlling limbs and trying to, escape and get, control the limbs so you can get to a weapon. Because if you have a poor timing error decision and you go to draw the weapon when you are right here, no matter how great of a shooter I am, how fast I am, how good of a fighter I am, if I make that poor decision draw now, you and I are struggling over that gun, and now it's our gun. And then it's going to come down who's bigger, faster, stronger, meaner, more violent, and has skills or no skills. So good chance you and I fighting for whatever reason, you're going to take my gun. So I don't want to introduce that weapon until I've got control of the limb closest to the firearm, whether it's my knife, my clenched pick. So, you've got to control the limb because otherwise, if you're not, you're going to end up in a fight, struggle over that weapon. And again, it comes down to training and skill and all. So
I'm glad you went there, because this is a question I've asked a few times on the podcast because I like hearing the answer from different people. And of course, over my lifetime, I've had a lot of women present their knife to me and be like, yeah, I'm covered. Like, this is great. And actually, John Ballantyne came on yesterday and we talked about this a little bit. And he and I discussed how like that perspective is problematic because they usually don't train with that. And it's also very a non-accessible, type of knife.
Right.
So I love asking the question of, I don't think I got to ask him this, but the kind of like the hierarchy almost of weapons presentation. So from like hand to hand, maybe pepper spray, then like knife, then pistol. Would you say there's like a proper hierarchy?
Yes, there is. Do you know John Hearn? Have you talked to him yet? He's like, no. John Hearn is like the 40-pound brain in the training community. A deep thinker. He's a Rangemaster instructor. He is a federal law enforcement park ranger in Mississippi. He's a supervisor there. He trains this guy. He's an incredible shooter. I get on the line with him and I'm like, I need to move down. He's just an incredible shooter. Just like he's a nerd. He'll tell you if he's a nerd. But yeah, we came up and he wasn't sure. I from my perspective, and I haven't figured out a better phrase. So if anybody wants to come up with a better one, but a non-LEO use of force continuum. So based on the model of a law enforcement use of continuum, it would be your presence. Then it would be your verbal judo and verbal agility. So muck, basically, you need muck. You need to know how to muck. You need how to offline. You need how to, ask, make, tell people. Then pepper spray, Pepper spray is proactive. And by that, if you're walking out the store, whether it's day or night with your man or woman, get it in your hand. So we don't have to fight. Because I want to say, I'm seeing someone approaching me. Hey, would you hold up? I step off the 3-9. And they stop. Cool. What do you need? And if I were to have my pepper spray in my hand, I'm ahead of the curve. So, and I can either keep it behind my leg, back the thigh. I can go the half fence here and talk to them. I have them here, but I have it in my hand. Then if they keep encroaching, like I said, it'd be stop. And then you've taken muck. The next one you get the louder with the say back the fuck up. Give that verbal component of a flash thing. For me, if I asked you, I told you. You're gonna get pepper sprayed, because it's Tabasco sauce in a spray can.
Yes,
it's not gonna hurt anybody. If I don't have pepper spray, then it would be the eye flick, as Craig teaches in ECQC. Then for me, and I'm gonna plug myself at this point. I do teach a Saps and Jacks class. It can be a 4-hour block. It can be 2-hour blocks for the combative summit, 4-hour blocks, 8-hour blocks, 12 or 16-hour block. I can add and take away as needed for what somebody's after pepper spray, because, and I've talked to a couple lawyer, one, John Reenan, nickname him the counselor, and the other is Chet Palumbo, lawyer grappler, and they kind of agreed with me. The SAP or jack allows you to scale up or down force as you're needed. So again, that would be a weapon, a tool of being proactive. Again, by this, I don't have my pepper spray, or you do spray someone and they continue on, then you get immediately in your hand. You drop the pepper spray because it's not a deadly force situation yet. Sometimes you have to wait. So but it's still a use of force situation. Someone, you may be hit, you may be assaulted. So pepper spray didn't work. You drop, get your sap out. They come in, you step offline, you can strike to the, I teach 3 tiers, zones. Level 1 would be forearms, upper and lower arms, upper and lower legs and buttocks, which is I teach with our batons at work. And then I would go to the second tier, would be from the clavicle, shoulders down, hitting to the body. You're probably going to break ribs with some of it. You may not, but more than likely, I have a sap. I love to carry it's midget size, and it's about 14.5 ounces. So it's gonna change your opinion. A really good strike with that on level 2 would be just a straight thrust. into the solar plexus, knock the breath out. Again, proactive. I'm not fighting this guy yet, but he's closing in on me and I want to stop him. So we do it. Then the third tier level would be collarbone up, and everything in there is a deadly force situation. You got someone bigger, faster, stronger, meaner, pounding you, and you already have it in, and you strike to the head, side of the neck. The possibility of causing death or serious grievous injury is there. Broken bone could be considered grievous injury, but that's going to be on the jurisdiction. But I'd rather break a floating rib and someone go, I'm done, versus hitting someone in the head. And maybe striking him in the head with a sap doesn't kill him, but maybe it bounces his head off. Maybe he drops, you knock him out, he bounces his head off concrete or curb. Now you have a death, unintentional death. Now you're really in the court system and all that. So, and then it would be knife gun, because they're the final tool. Because there's nothing really after that. It's just because you cannot cut somebody a little in the eyes of the court. You cannot shoot anybody a little. Despite what President Biden said somewhere years about shooting someone in the leg. You shoot someone in the upper thigh, hit in the middle interior side of that thigh, and hit that femoral artery. They're not going to make it. I mean, it's going to go so fast. Unless the medic truck is on scene right there and tourniquet and all that. So, that's the way I do it. Also, if anybody's interested, like I said, I teach Saps and Jacks class, and I make training Saps and Jacks too.
Are you in search of top-notch gear that exceeds your expectations? Look no further than GPS, brought to you by Go Outdoors Incorporated. GPS has been dedicated to crafting the finest products for hunting and shooting since 2002. As someone who frequents the gun range, my GPS bag is a staple to safely and effectively haul my gear. My personal favorite is the GPS Tall Range Backpack, which makes walking USPSA stages simple and organized. Their specialized bags are designed to keep all of my valuable equipment secure and organized. With GPS, you can experience the ultimate peace of mind. There are 3 exciting product lines: GPS Tactical, GPS Wild About Hunting, and GPS Wild About Shooting provide the perfect solution for your specific needs. So whether you're on a hunting expedition or hitting the range, GPS is your reliable companion. To find a bag that fits your needs, use code SHESHIELD20, that's SHESHIELD 20, to save and to support the pod. Again, that's SHESHIELD20 at checkout. You brought up a point that I've never talked about on the podcast, and I've never asked on the podcast, and that's rendering aid to someone that you have maybe just shot or just actually deployed any type of weaponry on. I had a comment on one of my TikTok videos, and of course, TikTok is always an interesting show. I won't go there, but I talked about the first aid I carry with me.
Right.
And someone interpreted it as, why would you carry first aid for the person that you just shot? And they asked it kind of genuinely. And I was like, oh no, this would be for me. Mm-hmm. But it kind of brought up a good question. Is that something you would want to expand on?
That's a tough one. If you're a law enforcement officer, you're on duty, off duty, you probably have a duty to render aid. Okay. But if I'm in an area that I cannot safely render aid, I'm probably not. I'm going to wait till the boys in blues get there. And, as a non-LEO civilian, I'm probably not going to render aid to someone I just shot, especially they have friends. I mean, you've got to have backup. I've got to have someone covering you, because if I shoot some dude, as Tom Giving gives, and I'm out there, I've shot him, he's down, and I'm like, okay, I need to render aid. I go there, but he has buddies coming out, or they're arriving, and they see him, they know him, they see you there, and they start putting two and two together. You're there down on your knees rendering aid. That's not a good place to be if you get surrounded or more people show up. So that means you're going to render aid. You got to be situationally aware. You got to look at the whole tactical situation, where it's at, how soon LE and ambulance is going to be there. Can you do it safely with cover and all? So that's going to be a real personal decision. Me, if I'm off duty, probably not going to render aid unless I have someone there to cover my back. Again, I carry a Safer Faster Defense trauma kit, which I have my quick claws, I have the chest seals, I have the pressure bandage, gloves, and a tourniquet in there. And those are for me. And now, everybody's different. If it's a 20, 30, 40-year-old person, I'm probably going to be hard-pressed to give them aid. Now, it's just a wayward 14, 15-year-old. I'm probably going to give up the tactical decision and give them aid because it's a kid. Now,
Right.
you can argue that's right, that's wrong, that's stupid, that's not. But having had to put sights and about 10 pounds of 12-pound trigger pressure on an 11-year-old bank personal robber one time, I would have rendered him aid if I had to shoot him. It just was going to happen. But that's, if you haven't had that happen and you're there, you're looking at that hammer coming back and it's an 11-year-old kid and you're like praying for him to drop that, giving him commands, that's going to affect you for your life. But yeah, kids I'd probably render aid to, even if they had just tried to kill me because, maybe they can be reformed and learn and decide, I don't like this life. Adults, I'm going to be hard pressed. Again, if it's a kid, they may have family, friends, and again, you're back in that situation. Can I do this safely to myself? But also, if you get in a shooting or a knifing in and you use you do a defensive use, who are you with? Do you have kids of your own? Are you with your loved ones, your family? Are you with the elderly family member? What do? You're with your fiance and he trains and he's armed. It may be better for you to take a cover concealment spot and let him treat because you're the one just shot him. So there may be some hostility if you go up someone that you just shot and try to treat them, and you don't have that duty to treat. So it's a sticky situation. It's going to be everyone. It's going to be everyone. You're not going to know till you're there and you're looking at. Again, if you shoot somebody and they have a bunch of buddies around, I'm probably going to get me behind some hard cover with something behind my back where I'll only have 180 degrees to worry about. So I don't have to worry about someone coming out behind me because they're pissed off that they just shot their friend or something like that. So yeah, I'd be very careful with that one. But, it's going to be how you're brought up, it's going to be a hard decision. It's one of those that you're going to have to look at. I just shot this guy. Am I going to be okay with myself if I don't treat him and he dies? But if I go up and treat him, I get assaulted, attacked. I'm doing no one any good. So it's going to be the one in the context at that time, But it also going to be one, okay, I'm going to help kids regardless. And by that 15 and under, I'm going to help them regardless, even if they just tried to shoot me. Or I'm going to just stand by and wait for police because I don't feel comfortable. It's a situationally dependent, but some of it you can kind of make up your decision beforehand. I know if we get in a shooting on a plane at work, I've got my cover. I'm probably going to go down and attempt aid. But then again, if I got cover, I got control of the plane, I got control of the cabin, and I'm going to go down. That means I have someone with their gun out watching and cover me. And then I go to do the aid. Or in my case also, I might direct passengers on the plane or the flight attendants to help because I might be in this cabin. I have my cabin controller, but I have a bad guy down. Then we treat them. Or I have a bad guy down and I have a passenger down who needs treatment. I'm probably going to start with the passenger because they're an innocent. And then when we get to the bad guy, if he's expired, well, that's really on him. But my first priority is to the flight deck crew and then the plane crew and passengers. So I'm going to look at that. Then if I can get to him in rotation in time, yeah, I would do that. But tactically, he'd be last in line. So
thank you for sharing that perspective.
You're welcome.
I like that you viewed it from all kind of standpoints. Right. So I really appreciate that.
You're welcome.
It's definitely a good thing to think about preventively and maybe not in the moment.
Right.
I know at ECQC, during one of the sims, I was quick to holster my weapon and I was trying to render aid, to the two other guys in the sim because Craig told them to fight. And during the debriefing, he was like, you shouldn't have put your gun up. And of course, it was, it was a conversation. It wasn't like a shaming process.
No. Craig is excellent at that style of teaching. The Socratic method and the I'm going to mess it up. Yeah. Anyway, that Greek word.
Yes.
The pedagogy.
Pedigree?
No, PEDOGA. POD.
Pedagogy?
Pedagogy. Yes, that's the one.
Okay.
That's his style of teaching. He doesn't lead you. He asks you questions. It's a discussion. He wants you to come to a conclusion on your own. He may say, yeah, I might not have done this, but I would have done this. Again, if I know I just have one bad guy, I may treat him. But I know if there's 2 or 3 there and they're fighting and they're not in that circle I'm willing to fight for, shoot for, die for, I might back off and just hold my cover position. Hear the sirens and lights coming, hear the sirens, squeal on the brakes. That might be a good time to holster up, hands up. Keep your eye on where the bad guy is. Just plan to be proned out, cuffed, searched, put in a car, and get taken for a ride downtown. If you plan for that all ahead, prepare for the worst, hope for the best. You fall somewhere in between, it's not that bad, So I prepare for the worst. I get in a defensive gun use, defensive knife use. The police shows up. You don't want to be standing around with a gun. If they get a call for armed robbery, man with a gun, woman with a gun, and you're standing there with the gun, good chance you're going to get shot. But what we used to see, we do car stops, felony car stops, and then the first officer pull up, start giving commands out of the car. Then third officer show up, and then they all start yelling. Then you get 3, 4 different commands, and the bad guy's trying to comply, but they're like, they're like, who do I look at? They keep looking back and forth, like, I'm getting 4 different contradictory commands.
Right.
So, yeah, you need to just be able to give one command. Please show up. Be holstered up. Yeah, hands up, holstered up. But I wouldn't turn my back on the threat. If whether you can tell he's still living, he's not living, he's just laying there. Right. I'd hold position. I'd probably hit a low ready or a SUL, just whatever. Low ready, keep it there, and just stand by. And then when I start hearing the sirens getting closer, the slamming on the tire, because cops love to slam on the brake and squeal those wheels, I'd holster up, hands up. And like I said, be prepared to be either put on your knees, proned out, and put in a car, cuffed and stuff, as I used to call it. And then I'd give just a very short, quick statement. If they took me downtown, hey, I was assaulted by this guy. I was supposed to use my gun. He was there. You had this, if you can remember, because we use our short-term memory sort of closes down in a shooting in high stress situations. That you're going to remember the 24, 48 hours, 72 hours later. By 72 hours later, the memory's back in full. So what you say now in 72 hours may change. Well, I shot 3 times. Well, actually, you did a mag dump, but your brain don't remember at that time. So best give a short, brief statement on what happened. Hey, I'd be happy to give you a full statement in 72 hours with my attorney, because a lot of agencies are going to that 48, 72 hours. So you get a couple of sleep cycles in, because we know psychologically that brings the memory back and starts get us up back to full memory. And then you're like, okay, now you give a statement, and you haven't given that statement here, and they're contradicting each other. Because in cops, we don't trust anyone. We'll be looking at that statements, and they'll go like, depending on how well trained, they understand the psychological versus the trauma, the stress, and the waiting periods, the sleep cycles. Now they go to a DA. This was what they gave us on the scene. This was 2 days later with their attorney. She's lying. Even though what you said at the scene at the time was true, 72 hours later, you've added stuff, changed stuff, because your full memory come back. So given a brief statement, you don't want to just go, I want my attorney. That's what the bad guys say. Mm-hmm. So you don't want to just dump out and say, I want my attorney, and say, hey, yeah, this is what happened. I was forced to defend myself. I had to shoot the guy. It's him, me, in this empty parking lot. I called 911. Call 911, give a description of yourself, tell them what happened. I'm at this address or this location. And one thing you do is, after you do that, is leave your phone, put it on speakerphone if you can, set it down, so you can keep dispatch. Because everything, once you call, is recorded. So anything after, once you call and report it, and you have to put it on speakerphone where they can hear everything, it's recordable. It's discoverable evidence. So if you end up there having to get in another one, or the guy gets back up, hey, stay on the ground, don't make me shoot you again. Let's put the onus on him. I'm not shooting you for fun. You made me shoot you. Stay on the ground. Right. Don't make me shoot you again. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
I'm putting the onus on him, her, and I want, if I got the phone and they're recording, I've got good hard solid cover on behind. So if incoming the paperwork starts shooting, I can get behind it, or I know someone can't sneak up behind me. That's where I want to be. Either my back to something hard, or behind it, or beside me, so I can step around it. But then everything else, you put the onus on that person. They tried to hurt you. They forced you to shoot them. Their actions forced all this. What we were taught to say is their actions. Their actions justify the deadly use of force. And I'm drawing a blank. I've got it wrong right now, but it's along those lines. I got it. I shot to stop the aggressive action that justified the deadly use of deadly force. So what I'm doing is putting, he pulled a gun on me, tried to rob me. I was more aware. I saw it coming. I was sooner. It's better to be sooner than faster, because you're paying attention. We're seeing everything going on, and you see a guy come out, and he says, "Give me your shit, bitch," and you beat him and shoot him. You get the hard cover again. Hey, he put a gun on me. I was forced to shoot him. And legally, and that's the legal framework. You didn't just shoot him for fun. He forced you. That was the only thing you could do, or used a knife. So you're tangled up, and he's, it's a rape situation, a power situation. They want to rape you, and, you get to your clinch picks, go to work, you get distance, and you use it. We're not knife fighting. We're not killing sentries. We're using it defensively to get them off us, and then to keep them off us, because you can use that as a range. And then if you use that as a range, you get enough range and you do have the gun, you can either drop it and step on it and draw, or if you have enough time, put it back in the sheath. But that's going to be contextually dependent. I would rather drop it and get to a ranged weapon, my handgun. But let's, in defensive use of force, we will put everything we do is put the onus on the bad guy. He did this, making me do this. Does that make sense? Yeah.
It does make sense. And I'm flashing back to my concealed carry license course. I got my enhanced maybe 3-4 years ago.
Good.
And he told us to, that reminds me, I may need to get that.
Check your renewal.
Renewal. Yeah. Renewed. Excuse me. Anyway, this is a good reminder. I need to look into that. It was probably a year ago. Right. My concept of time is so bad sometimes. Anyway, so he mentioned saying that you felt your life was in danger. That's and that's all you say. Do you feel like there's your way is more efficient?
Stating to the police on the scene of the shooting, I feared for my life. My life was in danger. Cool. Why was your life in danger? Does that make sense? This just spitting out. And something struck with me. I was watching news. This was several years ago. An officer was involved in the shooting. One of the things he stated during an interview, I feared for my life. I was afraid that I was about to be shot and killed. And then they result into citizens in the neighborhoods, and they're like, I'm just tired of hearing people talk about their fear for their life and shooting people. And it's they clicked. It's you have to say why you feared for your life, not just you feared for your life. Cool. Why did you fear for your life? Well, A, B, C, D. Paint that picture. Write that picture. Write a poem of what happened. Well, this happened, this happened, this happened, this. Just, I feared for my life and I shot him. 2023, that's not going to fly. If they take a ride downtown, you give a short, brief statement, ask for your attorney, or if you can call your attorney beforehand, just give a short, brief statement on, I was pumping gas, he came up, pulled a gun, or he pumped gas, and he showed me a gun, told me he was going to kill me if I didn't give him my wallet, my car, whatever. He had a hand on the gun, I sidestepped, drew, and fired one round. And and I would call the police or someone else called the police, I would like my attorney here and I will give you a full safe in 72 hours. You have to paint that picture. Why do you fear for life? If you just go up there and say, I fear for my life, and they asked you why, and you keep saying that, you're definitely going to spend the night there. You just need to paint a picture. First, a brief picture, a broad overview on why you use deadly force. Don't give the whole story, just broad. Because like I said earlier, what you say right afterwards versus 72 hours can be two different things.
Right.
And if you're in an area that has a politically motivated DA, those two statements could be used against you. They're like, well, it's obviously she was lying or he was lying because this is what they said at the shooting. Now we come back and we get a totally different story. They had time to think and make up a story. Yeah, cool. But I did give that statement. I was under tremendous stress at the time. Wasn't really thinking clearly. So this is a more true statement. And then you're going to spend a bunch of money hiring an attorney. Expert witnesses from like Force Science Institute and stuff like that to come in and explain about that statement versus this statement, the 72 hours, getting sleep cycle. If I go out and get in a shooting later today, and I call police, it's $50,000, or I call my attorney. When I make that call, it's $50,000 at that time in the DFW area.
Oh my goodness.
If it does go to trial, the way to trial, it's going to be between $250,000 and $500,000 for that trial, even if I win. And again, a politically motivated DA might not care if he wins or loses. He's making a statement. Right. And he's also punishing you with money. Well, I know I'm going to lose. I was able to get it at the grand jury, got a true bill, now we're going to trial. I know I'm going to lose this trial, but I'm going to punish them with the process. You spending time in jail for how long, whether it's a day or two or three or 2-year arraignment, however long. And then you get bail and the judge goes, yeah, you're not a flight risk, but I'm still going to give you a $50,000 bail bond. And now you got to find a bail bondsman or family to come up with. In North Carolina time, it was 10%. Where I was a police officer here, I don't know. But to get a bail bond, they're gonna want a certain amount to guarantee you show up on court date. So you get out, and then your life is going to be totally changed. People want to know. But so by the end, they're going to punish you with that monetary value. And that's what they're looking at. They may not like a conviction, but they're going to push you. And if you're in an area and they go to grand jury, if they come back with a no true bill, cool, life's good. But sometimes the process is the punishment versus the end result. So, yes. I mean, I don't have $50,000 sitting around here to call my attorney. I recommend some of the prepaid law stuff like CCW Safe or some of the CCW insurance. I think you said USCCA? Yeah, USCCA and there's a few others. Look at them, see what they do and what they allow. I'm a member of CCW Safe. And one of the reasons is why there is a case out of my home county, Raleigh, North Carolina, Wake County. The DA took Stephen Maddox, I think is the name. He got in a shooting. He was riding his motorcycle. He went to a hangout, motorcycle rub, Richmond Biker Bar. Got in a dispute with a guy. The guy took exception to him, started assaulting him. He backed out. He retreated. The guy kind of went back to bar, and he's out there like on the patio. The guy came back, assaulted again. He's like, dude, I'm out. I went to get a motorcycle to leave, and the guy came up, started beating him, and he was on that verge of, he was what we call in boxing MMA, rocked. And he was about to lose conscious, came up, shot him. And then he was, they indicted him for homicide, and CCW Safe came in and just blew their case apart. And when you hire CCW Safe, you don't front any money. You need bail bonds, they got it. You need an expert witness, they pay for it. Just read all the little clauses, the caveats of what they cover, what they don't cover. If you plea bargain here, they may not cover you, or stuff like that. And a lot of it's in the fine print, and you need to read it and look at all of them. Just take one at a time, look at it, read it. go to the next one, look at their stuff, read it, then compare them. Now you got these two, bring another one in, read that, the fourth one in. I'm not sure how many of them. Like we got Texas Defense Law Shield, like you said, CCW Safe, yours.
Yes, Law Shield was my first one.
Yeah. So just read and look and make sure you have that and what they cover, how they cover it, whether they reimburse you or they cover it with your membership, and just go and decide. So like I said, different areas in your area, you may be $25,000 for your attorney on retainer right then. Yeah, that's a lot of money. Right. I mean,
oh yes.
As a working middle class person, I don't necessarily have $25,000 easily accessible. So I have to find it. That either I get a home equity loan put up against it, or get a lien put against it to cover that, and then you're looking at another 10 to 20 times that for law to get through it, even if you don't get a conviction. So there's always what we call in boxing the puncher's chance. You go in there, you're clean. It's a clean cut shooting case, but they still take it to trial, and whatever reasons you get a jury that just doesn't like your story, and they convict you anyway. I mean, and there you go. Now we're talking going to the next level, the circuit court, not circuit court. It's the John's going to kill me, but the next level, that the review the case, and you have the appellate courts. I'm sorry, there we go. Appeal the case to. Well, you may be sitting in prison, you may not, but again, and the appellate court may come over, read your case, and go, "This is wrong."
I see.
What's his name? Varg Freeborn. He's written the book on it. He went to prison, spent 5 years in prison. He was, if you read it and listen to him, he was wrongly convicted because during his trial, he ended up having to stab a guy. He got blocked in a room at a party. He ended up having to stab a guy because the guy came there and stated in his statement that he was going there to kill him. And it just got missed by the jury and everybody else. The DA got a conviction. He went to prison for aggravated assault. And it has a really good book out there on it. He's got a couple now, but he goes through that and talks about it. And this is true firsthand experience. You just had who he's being charged of aggravated assault, and say, "Yeah, I went there to kill him or assault him." And he still, the guy just exonerated him. And it was not caught into the appellate circuit, but by the time they got to appeals court and caught it, he spent 5 years in prison. That's a long time in
that is a long time.
Losing your freedoms, and there's no way you can get it back. Yes, you get you get an overturn, and you're free now, but that's just 5 years of hell you just lived in. And so we got to look at all of that as concealed carriers, or people who are concerned about being safe and self-defense and running guns or knives. And and again, I like to say, who are you willing to die for, and who are you willing to kill for?
Right.
This should be pretty small circles, and they should very much overlap, if not be in the same group. Because if you do step in to defend that person, you're defending a third party, even if it's sister, kid, whatever. It's still a third party, so you have to be right.
Right. And
you still be right, and as you see, be put through hell because just politically motivated DA. But it's like, okay, this is it. I will make exceptions for this or this, but I will not do this. I will not protect, adult males and adult women. They should learn how to train, but active shooter kind of situation, I'm going to protect kids. Line for me, I will not allow a woman to be raped. That's just me. I sexually assaulted, anything like that. That's my personal code. I will not let that, even if there is some victim precipitation, I will not let that happen in my presence. I've accepted that as a third party. I don't know, but she's facing death or grievous bodily injury, and I'm going to, I will take that risk. I've got pretty good hand-to-hand skills. I've got, that's why I like a sap. Come up and whap them across the back of the head. It's out, And a sap, like I said, an 8-hour class, 2 to 8 hour class, I can have you up and running on a sap if you would just go home and practice some. And, that teaches you how to hit somebody without having to learn how to box. And you can work it, like you said, you said you were putting up a training bag in your office. or a bob.
Yes.
Is it a bob or a training bag or whatever?
It's not. I want a bob, but I should put that on my wedding registry. I just thought about that.
There you go. You're going to probably get some weird looks, but hey, cool, whatever. But
probably. They all know me well enough.
Right.
They would probably expect it.
But yeah, I mean, that gives you a 3D target to hit. And, like I said, train with me 4 to 8 hours. I will give you usable skills that transfer at this date, at this time. Because like I said, with me, I can teach you how to hit. I can teach you how to draw it, carry it, have ready positions. If you want, I can teach you in-fight weapons access with it, which would be the same thing as if you were going for your knife or your gun. In close, sap is pretty devastating. I would take that over a knife if I was given the choice of a knife or a sap, because I think the sap's more versatile. And where knife is lethal and causes damage, but if I hit you in the head with the knife anywhere, it's going to cut up a nice big wound, bounce off the skull, and you're going to just shake it off mostly. I hit you upside the head with the sap, whether the flat or the side, you're going to go down. I'd rather knock you out than have to stab you. And knives, the best, especially not small knives we tend to carry nowadays, point driven is the best. Because you can carry a 2-inch open blade, fixed blade knife, you can get up to a 4-inch compression cut because we're aiming for soft spots. So you double the depth. But they're not efficient for stopping people unless you just exactly hit something that just drops their hydraulic system, lower their blood pressure, they go down. That's why when you listen to the news and you hear somebody, a lady been stabbed 30, 40 times, because they're not efficient, they're very inefficient. And there's lots of the bodies you can stab someone to that's open space. There's nothing there. I mean, so you have to you have to even aim smaller with a knife than you do with a pistol to stop someone. That's what we are. We're looking to stop that person. We're not looking to kill that person. Right. We're looking to stop the aggressive acts that justify deadly force, which means grievous bodily injury or death. The elements of lethal force, deadly force is me, third party, grievous bodily injury, or death. That's it. It's simple, but it's not easy. It's that simple. You break it down to those 4 elements, and that's what it is. But there's so much that goes with it, so much that surrounds that is, it's 40 hours in a police academy going over deadly force and talking about it. But that's the 4 elements. That's it. That's a class 1 deadly force right there. But you go through case law, constitutional case law, state case law, all that over deadly force when officers can use deadly force. Police officers generally tend to allow a +1. So if I come up and you come up and you want to go fisticuffs, I'm going to go to a baton. If I'm in an agency that allows saps or jacks, I'm going to go an impact weapon. Batons, because I can extend it and it gives me range and I don't have to step in close. The only problem, the way they teach batons, you don't get the necessary force, and that's why it looks like they're beating them to death, because they're not just, they're just shallow hits with a baton. So, and now as I'm in my career in law enforcement, will be retired, I won't necessarily have that +1 theory. It's same force. So if they punch at me and I step off line, swing to the forearm with a sap and stop that, possibly you can break it. So always be conscious of that. You're hitting someone with a piece of lead wrapped in leather and you're hitting with them. But I'd rather step off line or even just turn and hit the forearm and break it than have to go to guns, have to go to knives, because they're bigger, faster, meaner, stronger. So that's one of the reasons I like saps and jacks, and because they give me a little more. Yes, it's an in-close weapon, but it's a proactive weapon again. I go to the store, I have to stop at the convenience store for whatever, you work a job, you work rotating shifts, and you have to get gas at midnight. And you get the gas, you go in the store, come out, and it's like, oh dang, I forgot my pepper spray, but I have my sap.
Right.
I tend to carry a sap more often than a pepper spray because I could, if I ended up in an airport with a pepper spray and have to fly, it's a good chance that case it may rupture and I contaminate the whole plane. And it's like, and then I'd forget it. So it was never in my regular thing. I get to the airport, and of course I didn't want to leave it in my vehicle in a hot car in the sun, because again, I come back, step in, oh boy, decontamination time. So I tend to carry a sap more, because as much as it may hurt me, I go up to the airport and I forget it. I can put it in my bag, lock it up with all my other stuff if I'm going overseas, or throw it away. So I never got in the habit of carrying OC. I'm trying to change that as I cycle into retirement and just being a non-LEO civilian. But I like SAPs. I like SAPs. Like I said, it's between OC and a knife and a gun, because you can scale it. But there's so much other stuff out there we can do and teach. I really want to avoid even OC. I teach muck. Let's teach muck, work it, and just keep potential assailant at like double social link. Another thing is, like, especially if you're arcing offline, as Craig teaches, that's so out of habit for people, so out of pattern, because we're creatures of patterns. So if you step off that line, that's going to be the first one. What the hell, or what the fuck? And Tom Gibbons says, you get two what the fucks, you just won that fight. And it may be you stepped off to 3, he squares back up, and you go back to 6, and he's like, I'm done, I'm out. And just a simple, hey, hold up for me. I tend to go telltale. Hey man, that's close enough. I don't ask. I just, then it's stop. And again, if they keep continuing at that stop, I'm going to probably hit them with pepper spray or an eye jab, and then move offline, back out. If I'm at a store, go inside, call 911. Again, first one to 911 or first one to the magistrate office on a misdemeanor tends to win, because first story. So yeah, like I said, OC, muck is the first thing. Let's be proactive. Let's see that threat, potential threat. I can teach you how to walk all over the world with this thing shoved up in your face if you do one thing. Up, about every 3 steps. Up. Yeah. Getting your head up and looking. And you may just be adjusting your eyes, adjusting because, man, I've been walking, playing on that damn thing, and I can't, I'm tired. But you're still into it because, hey, we get suckered into something. Just get your head up and look. Look, what am I looking for? Who cares? Right. Your head's up, you're looking. A potential bad guy sees you looking around like, oh no, she's paying attention. Let me go find something easier. Again, let's find the guy or gal that comes out of the store stuck in there, and nobody sees them. And I walk up, hit you in the back of the head, shove a gun up under your arm. Hey man, give your shit. Don't say a thing. Just give me your phone. What's your code? Cool. Give me your wallet. Cool. Walk off, leave. Don't say anything. They beat feet the other way. Right. That's a lot easier, than someone who's looking like the porcupine about to pop the quills up. And they're like, I'm a wolf, but I don't like porcupines.
Right.
So,
that's a really good point.
It is. It's just look around. If you want to learn patterns, go to, really, if you're in an area that has like a city square, downtown plaza, that has a coffee shop or something, go over there and get you a cup of coffee, sit outside. Every couple of weeks, go sit out for an hour or two and watch people, and just watch. Stay off your phone. Take the calls you need to call, answer the message you need to answer, but don't be sucked into your phone. Just get your head, enjoy the moment, and drink your coffee and watch. And after a while, you'll start seeing there's a certain ebb and flow. So you'll see that most of the people are going from your left to your right at a certain pace. But then you're looking left to right, and then you see someone who's going faster than that certain pace. You'll pick up on it. Your brain will pick on it and go, that's not right. Why is he going faster or she going faster? Or they're going, they're swimming upstream like a salmon, and you're looking and you'll start picking that up. That's the best way to start learning situational awareness. Like Craig teaches, he likes the driving anatomy. I'm driving, I've got this wide focus here, looking everywhere, saying, I'm driving, and I pick up something over off to the right. Oh, there's kids playing soccer. Oh, that soccer ball just got kicked toward the street, and I'm doing this. That kid's running out of the street. You hit the brake. And that's what we want. That's the same thing. Go up there, just rest, watch what's going on, and see. You'll start learning patterns, and once you start learning the patterns, your mind will pick up on it. You'll go somewhere else. You'll start learning the patterns as you move about and walk. We're all going this way. We're all going that way. Someone's coming this way fast. oh, I'm coming out of the store, and the guy that was hanging out in the corner, he looks over at me, sees me coming out of the store, and looks up at me. Hey, dude, I see you. Because you're looking around and you see it. You know, you may just come off the phone, look, and he stands up. Because he stands up, you look back at him. Hey, give him a nod, and he's like, I see you. And keep on walking.
Right.
And he's going to go, let me get the person that comes out on their phone. You know, if we train ourselves to do that, we can reduce crime. If we could get everybody to take muck and train muck,
yes,
I dare say we would greatly reduce crime. Because, you know, Tom Givens goes, it's like, his analogy is like every time when he took an interview of someone who got robbed, it was, imagine my surprise, the bad guy appeared out of nowhere. It was like they all had a card from Central Casting and they read off of it. Then they go back and you start talking to other people, other witnesses, video cameras. Well, no, that dude was 15 feet away from you and he watched you while you were all wherever, heads in the clouds, heads in the phone. He didn't appear anywhere. He just walked up to you and pointed a knife, gun, threatened you. Hey, give me your shit or I'm going to hit you. Here you go. Right. But then because we're not paying attention, even, you know, superficially, we didn't see that dude. But, you know, you look around and someone stands up, movement catches the eyes. And then, that was, you know, stuff like that. Short war story for me is, I think it was 2006. I was on one of my first international trips with the agency, and we got sent to London. We get in, take a nap. Actually, I think we blew off the nap. We just hit the train downtown with one of my partner, and we're go see the London Tower, which there. Of course, we're hitting every pub on the way. Ooh, pint. And we're crossing the Tower of London, and you know we're the typical tourists. Oh wow, this is great, and I had picked up the guy to see it. It was odd because he was the only one sitting along the rail that was by the road. Everybody else was over looking at the Thames River. And I didn't know my partner picked up on him because we weren't talking about, we were there wide-eyed, boom. And as we come, even with him, he pushed off the rail. And it was like two laser beams. Both of us was like, boom. We snapped our head and looked at him. And because by that time, as soon as he was always moving pretty quick, he would circle around as boom, we snapped that head. He fades back. He was going to pickpocket us with both of them. But it was interesting that my partner said the same thing. Oh, I didn't think you were paying attention to him. See, I saw him back there. I said, yeah, I did too. And then when he picked off, you know, it's just because we've been, you know, we trained our mind to pay attention to anomalies. And he'd been sitting there while we're like 20 yards and we're passing and watching. And then as soon as we pass, he came off that rail. And it's like, you know, because we picked up that and looked at him, that prevented a pickpocketing. And it was wonderful.
Wow. No, that's wonderful. Yeah, that's a great example of situational awareness. And it's kind of cool that was like programmed into you at that point. And yes, I can see it. It was a nice visual for sure.
Right, yeah.
If someone is interested in training with you, what all courses do you currently offer and where can they find those courses?
I hate doing the website thing. I do have a website. It's called DFWDefensiveTraining.com.
Okay.
I'm just not the website. I need to find someone to help me with that. A younger person. And that, because it's like one of those things I just hate. But Facebook, DFW Defensive Training, same thing. Instagram is I'm probably more active on Instagram under DFW Defensive. And I post there quite a bit. I'm Guy. It's either Guy_ or Guy-Schnitzler at Guy Schnitzler on Instagram, Guy Schnitzler on Instagram, or not on Facebook. Like I said, I tend to work events on my Facebook page or on the DFW Facebook page and on Instagram. And also, class-wise, I can teach anything you want from MUC to OC to what I call confined space skills, knife and pistol within that 5-foot range. Shotgun, I do a little carbine, but that's really not my area. But pistol and shotgun, small knife, impact weapon, OC, hand-to-hand. Either whether you want to do traditional judo or not judo, jiu-jitsu, and then want to do, or the combatives aspect where we have a weapons-based environment where we work to get to a weapon. a little bit of wrestling in that. Also,
Okay.
Palestine's training group on Facebook. I'm co-owner of that with Steve Moses and Alec B. And we do a lot of church security class. We do blocks. We do a 4-hour block on OC, SAPs, and jacks and defensive knife. We teach pistol and shotgun. And then, unfortunately, Sunday we do a carving class too. Those two places are either one. If you want private, the best way is through either directly Guy Schnitzler or DFW Defensive Training. Those are the places to find me. And, like I said, send me a message. I'm easy to find. You go, I got my phone number is everywhere. I got people going, you need to do your job. I'm like, I really don't care. I'm not a secret squirrel. I joke I'm an overpaid security guard because that's what you do on a plane. You're overpaid security guard. You sit and wait. But I'm a highly trained overpaid security guard because also with the agency, I have defensive tactics. I have firearms. I have pistol and shotgun instructor, mission tactics, a little medical through ASHI. Basically, I can stop the bleed stuff, but there's better people for medical training. Caleb Causey of Lone Star Medic is a really probably one of the best ones in the area, and I've trained with Caleb a lot. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, I've heard of him.
Yeah, Caleb is great. So he does a really good job. He's really good at it. He's really enthusiastic about it. He has several different classes. Like he has a class specifically for trauma medicine on the range for range staff. And then, for us, everyday carriers. So he has a lot of different classes on that, and he can tell or make anything. But for me, I can tailor a class to whatever you want. I can customize the class to what you want.
Okay.
One of the classes I teach is confined. Most of my stuff would be confined space skills, drawing and shooting from the seated position. A lot of people don't think about, and a lot of that transfer over is from the seat to, of course, linear environments like planes, buses, and trains because of work, but works in cars and works at my desk, or I'm out at dinner and I'm in, big family, get there, the kids want to be at a booth, so that puts me against the wall and they want to be here. Normally people go, tactically you can't do that. Well, you can argue and scream with the kids about being tactically correct. Sometimes we can't be tactically correct. Just do it. But I can teach you how to draw and shoot from that space. And basically it's teaching Craig Douglas's 4-count combative straw stroke, the 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, because what we do is what we train most recent, not most. So if I train a competition draw stroke where I go from the holster, I clear the holster, and I go straight to the target. If I'm in a seated position, sitting at something that has a counter, there's a good chance you can lose a pistol. If we use the 4-count draw stroke that Craig has preached and methodized, hitting a 1 to 2, coming to 3, and then 4 and out, I just cleared my desk and everything here. Appendix is great if you carry that way. It's 1 to 3 and then out. And I cleared a bunch of stuff, but I don't want to go from the holster straight to having to shoot someone if that's my draw stroke, because there's a good chance you're going to hit something. And it's just not necessarily hitting the table or counter. What if there's a picture of something on a picture of tea or soda or water on the table? Do you clear that, or do you run in that and you throw that everywhere and you have a bad grip and you lose your gun? But it fits in the 0 to 5 foot realm. That's what I love. I love to teach. I love to teach women because they want to learn. They're just like sponges. And then, they don't argue with me either. I get men.
What'd you say?
Women don't argue with you when you're teaching them because they're clearly. They're like, I don't know. They're honest enough. They're comfortable enough going, I don't know. Men, wait a second. I don't like that. And dude, just try it. I'm not telling you to change everything, but at least just work with me and try it. And if you don't like it and it don't work for you, cool. But now you can come back and tell me why it doesn't work for you. And the phrase, it works for me. Cool. I hear that phrase and you're in a class with me. It works for me. My question is going to be why. Right. And again, it's going to be like lethal force. You're going to have to outline why it works for you. So that's what I look for. Right. So, but anybody contact me. Like I said, pistol, SAPs and jacks. small knife, and shotgun. We can do that. Plus in-fight weapons access. I'm in the tangle.
Yes.
How do I get to my weapon, whether it's a gun or a knife, while I'm tangled up with this guy? And if you train with Craig and Cecil and Paul Sharp, you're going to see a lot of similarities because it works and works. So Cliff teaches a lot of the same. Cliff Barley Hill Country teaches a lot of the same thing as does Ben Ob and Redbeard Combatives and John Valentine's of Deeds of Arm, all of it, because it works. But the great thing of training with all those, you get different takes and you train it and mold it to what works best for you within that realm. And, that's what I like to do. So.
And you're only 5 hours from me. I just looked it up. So that is so awesome.
If you want to host a class, I'll drive up. I'm willing.
Yes.
Depending on what we're doing, someone's backyard, a park. If we have a range, we can do live fire. If we have a mat room or whatever. If you don't have a mat room and you want to do some grappling and weapons-based, grounded, jiu-jitsu-based stuff, I've got mats. I'll bring them. And we can do it on the ground. I mean, I'm not opposed to rolling around in the grass. Done it a lot. So don't need mats. We just start off in a different position. I mean, you've taken ECQ, so you know how fast you get in on the ground. And it's really at that point, mats don't matter, but getting this guy off me and get back to my feet and to a position of dominance, something matters. So it's all cool.
Right.
So
it was some softer. It wasn't too bad.
You won't know. Tomorrow you might, but when it happens and you got that adrenaline flow and you're like, oh, I'm here.
Yes, exactly. That's a very good way to put that. And I will link your information
Thank you.
in the show notes so that if you're listening and you're near the Dallas-Fort Worth area, or maybe you have a range nearby, you could even talk to your range about reaching out to Guy. I know I'm currently working at a range here. As far as instructing, I instruct my first class late July.
Awesome.
But I mean, I'd love to talk to them about hosting you.
Please.
And they seem to be they're very training focused. So I'm sure they would appreciate that. Cool. And they're just a great group of people. So
thank you.
That's so lovely. And I feel like this episode was very heavy on like the force continuum and the legal side of things as well. And your 30 years of experience as a law enforcement officer. So important to civilians as far as like giving us that perspective, because we don't see that side of things. And like I've learned so much today, even with the licensing for concealed carry. If you asked me right now what the policies are, I would not be able to tell you. And that's something I need to expand my knowledge base on, because I feel safer with that card in my wallet and paying that due, especially like my fiance and I are on the couples kind of deal there. And I appreciate that. But I mean, now I have this sense of discomfort now because I realize there's so much more to it. So I appreciate you sharing that.
My pleasure. I love that. Like I said, this stuff is my passion. I love to talk about it. I mean, I can throw a class together in about 5 to 10 minutes. I just need to know what you want to work on, because I've done it so much. It's just, I constantly think about it. When I was flying, I was constantly thinking about things, because what am I doing on a plane? I'm going to read. I'm going to watch a movie. Some days you get sick of both of that because I'm on another flight. I'm coming back from Hong Kong at 16 and a half hours. So I start thinking and doing scenarios and what ifs and stuff like that. And then I get enrolled the contextual from law enforcement to non-law enforcement civilians. And then, because the role of non-law enforcement versus police, law enforcement is so different. Again, your goal is to get away, and law enforcement is to apprehend. So, and that's the whole thing. I want defensive use. I want to get back. I don't want to be in gunfights. I want a shooting where I'm doing the shooting or the stabbing or the beating. I'm ahead of them. I got there sooner because I saw it coming. I prepared. And then when he made certain moves, I'm like, we're on it. So.
Yes. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I appreciate you. And the Combatives Summit.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes.
Before we go?
Everybody sign up.
Okay.
I think we only have 20 slots left. The Combatives Summit is part of the Combatives University, which is part of the Combatives Association, which Matt Larson, the father of the modern Army Combatives program, started when he was in the Ranger under General Stan McChrystal, who was regimental commander at Sign. McChrystal told him, we need a combatives program for the regiment because combatives makes warriors. Not lifting weights, not running, not shooting, hand-to-hand fighting. And if you go back in history and look, the earliest art of warfare was someone grappled up, got an under tie and a hook or whatever, and putting a blade into them, because that's what it is. That's how you fought at the time. Then you start seeing boxing and stuff come up. The Olympics is all about warfare. Early Olympics, all that stuff was designed to be about warfare. And then we've added stuff as we've gotten out of having to be like that. But it's going to be great. Got some of the top combatives instructors in the country and me. I'm not sure how I got in there, but that's up to John Valentine. She sent me a text. I'm sure I'll be teaching a 2-hour block, 2-hour block on saps and jacks. Matt Larson is giving 2 different presentation. Cliff Barley, Craig Douglas, Cecil Birch, John Valentine, Aaron Janetti of Knife Control Science. I'm going to have to find a way to get my block changed because it's the same time as Aaron's block, and I want to see his material.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So there is a lot of stuff. Nick Dalgadia, he is the coach, Mark Ripeto's head coach for the Started Strength program out of Wichita Falls. He'll be there doing a block on strength training and why it's important and why you need to do it and why you need to also, whatever your sport is or combatives, jiu-jitsu, you have to do that. If you're doing that, you need to do that versus anything else. Then if you have time left, you can add the strength or the cardio. But to get better and to get stronger at your strength and cardio for jiu-jitsu, you need to do jiu-jitsu or kickboxing or boxing. They're going to build you the best. And then I'm trying to think who else. I know I'm missing someone. Chet, Chet Palumbo, lawyer, grappler lawyer. I'm sorry, Chet, don't kill me, but I'll get the pizza next time, buddy. He'll be doing a block.
He's actually coming on Monday.
Oh, did you?
So
he'll be doing a block on use of force for us in the combatives round. There's Cole Miller, who I'm looking forward to meeting first time and seeing. Hopefully, I can get in his class. It's going to be one of those where I have to flip coins and
yes. Yeah.
And then cringe a little bit because I want them both. But yes, I'll be there teaching saps and jacks. Craig's there. Like I said, it's going to be a really good time. I mean, even if you go and just watch and absorb and soak up, and then what's great, it'd be the after hours if there's dinners and drinks and listen to all the instructors talking to them. It's going to be a great time. And we're going to learn much. Yeah, the instructors are going to learn much. The students are going to learn much. It's going to be a fabulous 3 days. So if you can be there, be there. And then get training. Look forward to training with any and everybody I can meet. So it's going to be a great time.
Absolutely. And I'm sure, man, I hope by the time this episode airs, there's still some spots. But in the meantime, after I sign up, I am going to share it online.
Great. Thank you.
And hopefully some people, oh my gosh, absolutely. Yes. This is an incredible opportunity. The other day before I'd spoken to John about this and even Kristen, she was the first person to bring this up. I was looking for a class with Craig because to be completely honest with you, up until about the time Kristen and I chatted, I really only knew about Craig and the 0 to 5 feet, combative training. And you all just need this publicity. You need people to be able to find you. Nowadays, like, I feel like it's easier, when something is industry driven, just because I don't know. I won't get into that, but I want the training side to come up more. I'm trying to be careful with that. Because I am on the industry side, of course, as well. So I'm really excited to get all of you out there. And I told John, I was like, I don't feel like this is long enough. Like, I wish it was a week or, of course that's a big commitment to, especially flying, driving, staying somewhere. So 3 days makes total sense, but I'm going to try to be a sponge and, I'm going to sign up after we talk. Cause this is
be great.
Probably a once in a lifetime. Are you all going to make it like a yearly thing?
That is the goal, is to make it a yearly thing. I don't know if you've been to TACCon. TACCon has been a yearly thing.
It's sold out.
Yes, it's fast. It sells out fast. But anyway, it's John and Matt and I've talked with John, not Matt, but I know from what he said, Matt, is we want this to be a yearly thing. And because Combatives is constantly evolving. Stuff works now, may not work because, people are training now. Now we got to change to keep up with that pace or get ahead of it.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, it's going to, hopefully we'll make it a yearly thing. So.
Yes, absolutely.
Great.
Yes, and thank you for sharing that. I've had a wonderful time on today's episode. I've learned so much. Good. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. And for those of you that are interested in training with Guy or just checking out his social media and following his journey along the way, his information is in the show notes, which are the notes below the title. If you're interested in exclusive content, you can become a Patreon. You will receive stickers and a thank you note along with more exclusive content. Of course, if you will visit the She Shield Instagram and TikTok at She Shield Pod, that would be lovely. And a special thank you to Sagetta Gear, one of the official sponsors of She Shield, for concealed carry gear and duty gear. She Shield 10 is our code for 10% off your order and to support the pod. If you like the pod, you can help by liking, subscribing, and leaving a review. And if you or anyone you know is a firearms owner experiencing a crisis, you can look into holdmyguns.org. They are an organization that will connect you with a local gun shop or FFL to store your firearm for you. The link to access their website and to find a storage location or partner is available in the show notes. In the meantime, stay safe and stay vigilant. Are you searching for a brand you can trust when it comes to shooting and gun care products? Look no further than Birchwood Casey. Since 1948, serious shooters, avid collectors, and professional gunsmiths have relied on Birchwood Casey. They've been in the game for over 70 years, providing us with products that have stood the test of time. From their legendary True Oil gunstock finish to the dependable Perma Blue, Birchwood Casey's commitment to quality is unmatched. Birchwood Casey has also revolutionized the way we train and improve our shooting skills with their innovative Shoot and See targets. These targets let you see your shots instantly, making it easier than ever to track your progress and become a better marksman. Head over to birchwoodcasey.com today and discover the products that have earned the trust of shooters worldwide. And use code SheShield20 to save 20% on your order and to support the podcast. Again, that's SheShield20, SHESHIELD 20 at checkout. Happy shooting.